Welcome to the Chichitos Adventures channel. Today we'll share the story, The Cannibal Mares of Diomedes vs. Hercules in Greek mythology. The cunning and malicious King Eurystheus assigned Hercules another challenge, this one even more gruesome and dangerous than the previous ones. He had to steal the mares of Diomedes, the feared king of Thrace. These creatures were no ordinary animals. Fed on human flesh, their nature had been corrupted by the cruelty of their owner, a man who took delight in watching them devour unfortunate guests who arrived at his palace under promises of hospitality. Diomedes, son of the god Ares, ruled over the Bistones and had been surrounded by violence since childhood. Raised among wars and beasts, he had turned his horses into man-eating monsters. Though many called them mares for their appearance and fierceness, the rare chronicler Heno had given them masculine names: Podargus, Lampon, Xanthos, and Dinos. Aware of the danger awaiting him, Hercules accepted the challenge, knowing it would not be enough just to capture the mares. He would have to face Diomedes and his loyal, fierce warriors, who were willing to defend the beasts with their lives. Diomedes not only cared for the mares, but loved them with a sinister devotion. His horses were his pride, his dark pleasure, and watching them feast on human flesh was his greatest delight. Realizing the difficulty of the mission, Eurystheus allowed Hercules to gather a group of warriors to accompany him. He knew the Thracian king would not surrender his mares without a fight, and that behind this seemingly simple task lay a battle for survival. The starry sky stretched over the sea as Hercules and his volunteers sailed toward Thrace. Among them was Abderos, a young Opte, son of the god Hermes, and cherished by Hercules. The cold northern air hit Hercules and his men as they approached Diomedes' palace. In the distance, they spotted the stables where the infamous carnivorous mares were kept. As they drew closer, Hercules noticed that the stables were not ordinary. They were made of solid bronze, and the shiny walls were splattered with dark stains, remnants of the beast's terrifying diet. Hercules approached cautiously, followed by his men, who had pre-planned how to position themselves to avoid crowding. From inside, they could hear neighing and hooves pounding against the metal, signaling that the mares were restless. At the entrance, Hercules saw the enormous iron chains binding the beasts, as thick as a man's arm, and fastened to the bronze floor. Stable guards noticed their approach. Strong, muscular men accustomed to handling dangerous animals, they brandished their weapons upon seeing the intruders. But Hercules didn't even flinch. He faced them with the skill and strength that had made him famous throughout Greece. The fight was short but intense. The guards were strong, but no match for the son of Zeus. One by one, they fell under Hercules' blows. When the last one lay unconscious on the ground, the hero headed to the stables and carefully opened the heavy bronze doors. The stench of death and decay hit him. Inside were four enormous mares, glaring at him with red, hungry eyes. Their coats, which should have been glossy, were stained with dried blood, and their sharper-than-usual teeth were a palpable threat. Hercules observed the mangers filled with human remains, some still fresh, and his stomach churned at the thought of how many lives had ended there, fueling Diomedes' madness. The mares became restless at his presence, pulling fiercely at their chains. The chains were removed, and the mares freed. Hercules and his group carefully guided the animals toward the sea, avoiding any sudden moves that might alert other guards. The plan was to set sail as soon as possible and avoid Diomedes' wrath. However, word of the theft quickly spread, and Diomedes, furious upon learning that his prized mares had been taken, gathered his followers and set out to intercept the Greeks before they could escape. Hercules couldn't be in two places at once, controlling the beasts and confronting Diomedes. So he left the hungry mares under Abderos' watch, entrusting his friend with the task while he faced Diomedes and his men. "Abderos," Hercules said, "I need you to guard these beasts while I deal with our pursuers. Be careful, they are dangerous and not fully tamed." With that, he handed him the reins and turned to face the approaching Bistons. Hercules stood his ground, waiting for Diomedes and his men. As they came close, he unleashed his fury on them, using his superhuman strength and combat skills to break through the Bistons' ranks. The battle was intense, known for its brutality. The Bistons fought valiantly, but they were no match for Hercules' strength and skill. One by one, Diomedes' warriors fell before the son of Zeus. Finally, Hercules faced Diomedes himself. The king of the Bistons, son of the god of war, Ares, was a formidable opponent. They engaged in fierce combat. Diomedes was skilled with weapons, but ultimately, Hercules' strength and skill prevailed. With a well-placed blow, Hercules brought Diomedes down, leaving him at his mercy. With the fallen king and the main threat neutralized, Hercules hurried back to retrieve the mares. However, upon his return, he was met with a nightmarish scene. His friend's body lay dismembered, a victim of the beast's ferocity. Unable to control the mares, Abderos had been devoured by them. Hercules stood frozen in horror and guilt, realizing that his decision to leave Abderos in charge had led to his friend's death. Overcome with pain and rage, he made a cruel but, in his eyes, just decision. Without hesitation, he took Diomedes, the Thracian king who had fed his mares human flesh, and threw him to the same beasts. The brutal justice he sought was now fulfilled in the very place where he had lost his friend. Satisfied by the flesh of their cruel master, the mares became calmer. The ferocity that had marked them began to fade, and their demeanor turned surprisingly docile. With the beasts finally subdued, Hercules and his companions prepared the ship to set sail without further difficulties. Before his triumphant return, still devastated by the loss of his friend, Hercules decided to bury Abderos in that very place. In his honor, he founded the city of Abdera on the northern coast of the Aegean. With the mares finally calm, Hercules and his group embarked on their journey back to Mycenae. The trip, though less dangerous than the encounter with Diomedes, still presented some challenges. Despite their exhaustion, the successful completion of the mission relieved the warriors. Upon arrival, Hercules presented the mares to Eurystheus. Far from satisfied, the king observed the beasts with disdain and frustration. The animosity between Eurystheus and Hercules was well known, and the king missed no opportunity to show his displeasure. Without showing any sign of approval, Eurystheus ordered that the mares be released. Now docile, the mares were set free in the nearby meadows. Once free, they headed north, seeking to return home. Their journey led them to Mount Olympus, where the wild forest beasts attacked and tore them apart, thus ending the cycle of hunger and violence that had marked them. However, another version states that Eurystheus decided to consecrate the mares to Hera. According to this story, the mares became part of a cult that lasted until the time of Alexander the Great. And so, with his 8th labor successfully completed, Hercules awaited a new mission from Eurystheus. The next task would seem simple at first, but he would soon discover that he was about to face a challenge unlike any other he had experienced. It would be a test that demanded more than brute strength. Thank you for watching our content. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share. Subscribe to stay updated on the videos we upload to the channel. Blessings.